I love theatrical lighting, and over the next few minutes you'll see how to set up and use 3 lights to create what is called hatchet lighting. Hatchet lighting makes dramatic light form on subjects by projecting the shadows towards the camera lens instead of away. And it does this with not 1, but 2 main lights that are placed, oddly enough, behind the subject. This theatrical lighting is absolutely perfect for the atmosphere that I want to create in a simple yet whimsical image of model Renee that was inspired by the wild behavior that occurred in and around the mass balls of the 17th century. Let's get started. After guiding Renee Robin onto the set, I take a few minutes to discuss and demonstrate posing ideas. To help dress the set, a couple of props are added. A Venetian carnival mask, which is placed on the floor in front of Renee, and a blue light rain dyed muslin backdrop fabric, which assistant Lane Jensen hands to Renee. A digital SLR camera mounted on a small tripod is placed on the set. The low height of the camera relative to Renee will create a dramatic angle for this dramatic shot. At my request, Lane rolls the first light onto the set. This studio strobe has been fitted with a 24-inch Light Rain Octabox light bank and has been mounted onto a rolling boom stand which allows high placement of this light. Once in place, I direct the light's positioning while viewing its effect on Renee from camera angle. Being satisfied with the first light's placement, it's time to move in for an incident meter reading.
Okay, I need you to turn that down a little bit.
The meter reveals that the strobe power is set too high for the intended exposure, and so the power of the strobe is turned down.
Good.
Satisfied with the second incident meter reading, I return to the camera and prepare to capture a few preliminary exposures.
Great, just like that. Nice, nice, good. Turn your head a little more.
Finding the spread of light on Renee and the door is too broad, I request the addition of a Light Tools 30-degree soft egg crate light modifier. Assistant Monty Noyes affixes the egg crate to the light bank using its Velcro strips. The addition of the soft egg crate will reduce some of the light intensity on the subject, and so another incident meter reading is taken. To compensate for the lower intensity, the power of the strobe is turned up.
Perfect.
Happy with the meter reading, I return to the camera and prepare to capture a few more preliminary exposures.
Yeah, perfect. You got it.
Looking at this most recent capture, I'm pretty satisfied with the narrow spread of light created with this 30-degree soft egg crate. I'm not, however, so satisfied with the look of just one light on Renee, and so I request the addition of a second light source. Monty brings in a Light Rain LR12 monoblock strobe fitted with a 12-inch by 36-inch Light Rain strip light softbox. Once in place, Monty fastens a Light Rain 30 by 50 soft egg crate to its front. An incident meter reading of the strip light reveals a lower than optimum light intensity falling on Renee, and so I instruct Monty to increase the light's power.
Perfect.
With this second light properly set, I return to the camera to capture another preliminary shot of Renee.
Good. And slight head tilt this way.
Looking at this last capture, the addition of the strip light behind the doors really balances out the lighting on the subject. It doesn't, however, do anything for the remaining shadows, which I think look a little too dark. To add a little more light to the shadow areas, a 24-inch by 34-inch Light Rain softbox is added to the set. Wanting to focus the fill light on Renee and not so much on the doors and wall, a 40-degree Light Tool soft egg crate is added to this third light bank. Once again, an incident meter reading is taken, this time for the fill light. Based on the meter reading, the power of the fill light is turned up.
Okay. Can you turn the power up on the fill about 5/10?
A second meter reading is taken to double check that the strobe's power was increased by the correct amount. Satisfied with all the lighting, I again returned to the camera to capture a final series of images of Renee.
It's a little to the left. Yep, that's nice. Good, 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 good. Tilt your head this way. Hold your chin. Good, right there.
Upon viewing this image from the series just captured, I'm very pleased with the shadow densities and with the balance of the 3 lights on Renee, as well as her pose, and so the shoot is complete. Looking back to the setup of the shoot, a diagram of the setup shows that the camera was attached to a small tripod. The camera is 8.5 feet from the subject and is just 13 inches above the floor. The first light brought onto the set was a 24-inch octagon light bank. It was placed 7.5 feet from the subject and it stood 8 feet above the floor. Looking back to the first image captured with this single light setup shows a wide spread of light over the set. To focus this wide spread of light onto the subject and off the periphery, a 30-degree soft egg crate is added to the octagon light bank. Notice how this narrow spread of light puts all the emphasis on the subject by gradually vignetting the light from the outer areas. A second light, a 24-inch by 34-inch strip light softbox fitted with a 30 by 50 soft egg crate, is added to the back of the set behind the camera right side door. This light is aimed directly at the subject. The addition of this second light brings to life the camera right side of Renee and the door behind her. To brighten the very dark shadows on the subject, a 24-inch by 34-inch softbox fitted with a 40-degree soft egg crate is added to the front of the set. This fill light brings the brightness of the shadows up ever so slightly, ensuring that the critical shadow areas maintain some subtle detail. Room lighting in the evening during the 17th century was created with candles, and so rooms were relatively dark. To capture a similar dramatic feel in my image of Renee, I relied heavily on egg crates to control the light spill from my light banks so as to not overlight the room. You can easily see the difference between the image lit with egg crates and here again without egg crates. Notice how the egg crates selectively spotlight the scene. Even the octabox light bank, which had to be placed relatively far away from the subject to stay out of camera frame, holds a nice, tight light pattern on Renee and the doors. At this distance from the scene without the egg crate installed, the octabox becomes a floodlight rather than a spotlight. It is an interesting exercise to identify which is the main light. If Renee turns her head a little towards the softbox behind the doors, then that light becomes the dominant source. If she turns her head a little away from the doors, then the octabox on the camera left side of the set becomes the dominant source. And if she positions her head in between, both lights equally light her face. This hatchet lighting technique can often leave the eyes a little dead, as we see in this image of Renee. The addition of the fill light, whose main purpose was to create eye catch lights and not so much shadow fill, solved this problem.